In this video today, we are looking at 50 swimming specific movements with my own commentary. A little disclaimer here, guys. I do not stand by all of these movements. However, if they are performed well with good technique, they might serve you well, but there are a few in here that are absolutely bad and I would not recommend for the world. But what I want you to do with this video though is to think a little bit outside the box. When would we like to do some of these movements? Why and how? Why not? Welcome to the Swimmer Strength YouTube channel. I am your host and performance coach, Dennis Ekmati, former swimmer from Sweden. I swam in the Pac-12 for ASU and also a silver medalist at a national championship. I am making this video for you guys because there's a major hype out there amongst swimming specific movements. It serves as a really good marketing tool for many, but doesn't mean that we should always do it. How can we use it the best? Because even if we see it on social media, doesn't mean that we should use it. Is it the best option to create effective athletes on land? And again, I am making this video so you can think a little bit outside the box why we are doing this. Is this truly the most effective option of what you want to accomplish? And now, with further ado, 50 swimming specific movements with commentary. I know you have seen the band pulls, but you may not have done the eccentric muscle lengthening back into the starting position. Here we get to feel each position a little bit more and also add more force onto the muscles. For this one, we are controlling the position in the catch, halfway through the stroke, and also at the end of the stroke. Another way we can add a different variation and add more force and control to this movement. Doing it the traditional way, I like to go negative repetitions, as in coming back slower to the starting point than we actually pulled back. So maintain as perfect of strokes, quote unquote, and also do it negatively coming back. And now you might be wondering why I'm going so fast. Well, we have different muscle contractions. If we want to work on concentric, pure speed, this is what we do. And again, we have to do that in different parts of the season. We can also do this alternating the arms. If you're a freestyler or a backstroker more, this is what you do. And here we're doing the eccentric muscle actions. But if you're more breaststroke or butterflyer, you will do a little bit more of the past exercises. Yep, that's right. We can do the same movement here in the 3-point isometric position in the catch, halfway through the stroke, and also at the finishing position of the stroke, so we can feel each spot a little bit more and also making it a little bit more challenging alternating the stroke, because we have to reach with the opposing arm as we are pulling with the other one. And the traditional way, of course, again, negative repetition. Make sure that the body stays as stationary as you can, all the way from the legs and the hips to your entire spine. And of course the fast concentric actions as well. And I'm generally not a big fan of these movements when we're doing this, but at certain points for some swimmers these can be beneficial. Look at this, guys, a little contralateral cross-body connection with the kinetic chain. Not recommended for every swimmer unless we are able to handle the hip hinge and able to do it on one leg. I would just coach myself here a little bit to straighten out the back leg a little bit more and then continue to do it in a controlled fashion. Let's switch into some breaststroke, and I'm doing the eccentric one here, so pulling it in quickly, coming back nice and slow. We're adding a lot more tension to the spine, and I don't like doing this movement too much with younger swimmers because the hands tend to dip down. I'm actually making a big effort here to keep my hands up high as I'm reaching forward so they're not sinking down low. We can further increase proprioception or feeling in 3 points in this same breaststroke technique, and it just makes it a little bit harder on the posture. It is hard to keep this position nice and stable, especially when we're going through this controlled. And the traditional breaststroke, fast in, control back out, and make sure that the hands are not dipping down low. You have to make an effort to keep them in a good line with your overall body. And the concentric speedy variation, which I honestly don't see much use of unless there is another quarantine coming for us. But again, if you want to work on some speed, this is the way you do it. To work on a single limb, I actually prefer this much more than the freestyle and backstroke variation where we're going alternating. Here we get to isolate the one arm a little bit more, focusing on the one arm and controlling it back out. And you can again do this in the different speeds, but if you want to work on one limb, I like doing this better than alternating it and actually make it look more like freestyle. Here we are scooping similar to the initial stage of breaststroke, and I like to actually pull my arms wide in my breaststroke. And for swimmers who are having issues with that, this is a good way for them to gain that awareness of pulling the hands out and controlling the scoop in without moving their spine. And the same movement can be done alternating your arms. Here, instead of working both, we're reaching with the one arm, scooping with the other, and initiating the pull though from the shoulder blades. Watch me having a long neck and initiate the pull from the shoulder blades while keeping it as swimming specific in the simulation of the pull as possible. I'm calling these scoops and not breaststroke because I'm not getting a big extension up here. So I'm just focusing on the scoop, which is essentially also underwater breaststroke in a way, right? Because we're not breathing, but focusing on the wide grip, controlling the position, and then controlling the motion back out. And the same movement again can be done alternating the arms, and these would be progressions from the half scoop, making swimmers be engaged, feeling the position in the half scoop before going in for the full scoop. And guys, let's get super specific, right? You may know of the VASA Trainer machine, and if you don't have thousands of dollars to put onto a VASA Trainer, you can simply grab a box, an elevation, grab a bench, place that bench on the box, and grab your bands, and voila, you have your cheap VASA Trainer. Look at this! This doesn't get much more specific than the regular butterfly, and we don't have a regular VASA Trainer, but we have bands and we have a bench and we're making it look like butterfly. Negative repetitions on this one. We can of course pull with one arm alternating as we are recovering the other arm, so we can make it simulate a little bit more freestyle, but there are so many different variations that you can do here when you are in this position. So let your creativity and mind flow, but make sure that you're working what you are really wanting to work. And let's flip over to our back and do some backstroke. And when we are pulling similar to what we want in the water, right? High elbow catch, etc. You know the drill. Make sure you are recovering the same exact way. And you can again play with the different speeds and the different muscle actions of what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you guys here in a little bit why I don't want to recover the same way we swim. And we can also add a variation and do double arm backstroke here. Why not? Adding a little bit more tension in different positions for both limbs working together. To speed it up and to work more on power versus strength or stability, yep, we're simply going faster now. Man, what is this? I understand that we want to simulate swimming, but once we're using the bands to do either the butterfly, freestyle, or backstroke, the bands are pulling our arms in really quickly, and we have to be engaged and let our arms eccentrically decelerate. Otherwise, we are truly putting our arms at a risk, and we are definitely not developing the muscles that are helping the body move forward fast. Instead, pick the muscles that you want to work on, the muscle actions that you want to work on, and then choose if you want to do it on 2 limbs or 1 limb to still make an exercise that not many other athletes are doing besides swimmers, because we wouldn't want a soccer player doing these 2 exercises, right? This becomes more so relevant for someone that is swimming backstroke and wants to develop their lat strength, their high elbow position, and also the finishing part of the stroke. Look at this, guys. With the stability ball and the bands, we're now connecting the entire kinetic chain with a little bit of rotation. Some hip rolls into a high elbow early vertical forearm catch, and it's all about proprioception and feeling. Can we get the hips rolling into the catch smoothly from one side and to another? And we might feel some imbalances here, and that's okay. We're trying to sync and connect the body the best as possible while maintaining a long neck and avoiding excessive movements. And we can even make it look like butterfly here, guys. And typically we say initiate with the shoulder blade, but we have to scoop our hands down internally, catch the water, and then pull with the shoulder blade while maintaining a long neck, keeping our toes pushing down the ground, glutes engaged, and always catching similarly to how we are swimming butterfly, so we're not excessively pulling with the elbow, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about here. Alright, swimming breaststroke. It's not my favorite way of swimming breaststroke, but certainly a variation that you can do. But again, Remember, if you want to be specific, you can do it in the water, but you can also have a little bit of fun, especially if you don't have a pool, if you're in a quarantine situation, right? With some bands, a stability ball, and voila, you're swimming breaststroke. And now we're swimming backstroke, and we have to be a little careful of this exercise because it's advanced. We're putting a lot of stress on the lower back. It's very straining on the abs, hip flexors, and the quads while we are working proprioception of the rotation and the patterns of our arms while working on that stability. But we have to have a good baseline of abdominal strength to handle this. Otherwise, we're putting the lower back at really high risk if we're unable to keep the tension in the glutes and the abs. So always make sure that the shoulders stay in line with the hips or potentially a little higher to again avoid any risk of injury. And we can take the same exercise and do breaststroke. Now we are targeting the abs, guys. It becomes a big crunch because when we're doing breaststroke, we hyperextend the spine before we're shooting the hands down and forward. Same thing happens here, right? So unfortunately, we have to dip the shoulder lower than the hips and then shoot our hands forward into a major quick crunch. And if you're able to do this, you have really strong abs, but be careful, squeeze the glutes, protect your back. And this is where the creativity stops. I wanted to show you guys both breaststroke and backstroke of why this is not good. And as soon as we are taking these bands overhead, they are putting a lot more stress and tension on our whole system, making it much harder to focus on what we really want to focus on. The abs are no longer as engaged. I am feeling my back a lot more here, and I'm just not as stable on the stability ball. So we're adding tons more risk and we're taking the focus away from what we're trying to accomplish. Why the hell in the world are we not jumping in the water and just swimming breaststroke and backstroke instead? This is an excellent choice for any level swimmer, no matter what level you are. Here we are bending our knees, putting our lower back on the ground while rotating side to side and rolling our arms side to side to both work on core strength and also some rotational awareness in similar positions that we would find ourselves in the water. And we can even progress from this exercise by straightening out our legs into a hollow position. Now it becomes a little bit more advanced for the swimmers that are able to keep their lower back on the ground while their legs are straight. That is the main key factor here. Can we keep the lower back pressing down? Because if it is arching up, we're putting too much stress on the hips and the lower back. And again, you see the rotations here looking similar to what stroke? Backstroke. Here we are adding a press into a rotation with the legs bent, more appropriate so for beginners and moderate level swimmers, but adding a little bit more of a stability and strength component in this rotational core piece. And to get even more advanced, legs get straight out into the hollow position, and as we are rotating out to the side, we're pressing up and coming back down into neutral with both the legs and the arm. And as you can tell here, we don't have to always make it look like swimming to still train stability, strength to make ourselves stronger and faster in the water. A very swimming specific exercise that you can do against a wall or throw to a partner. Now, the heavier the ball gets, the sloppier the throw becomes because we want to still simulate the stroke as much as we can here with a high elbow without letting the elbows drop. So it becomes very much like a breaststroke pullout or a butterfly stroke here, working more so on power here. Another variation is to make it more like backstroke and freestyle, throwing it with one arm, and we have to grab a lighter medicine ball here, and whether you're throwing it against the wall or a partner, guide the ball back with both arms. Feel like you're cupping the ball really well and you're throwing it like you're really initiating a high elbow catch here. This is going to be both proprioception, awareness, and a lot of abdominal strength. Here is a variation of a medicine ball slam where we are cross-linking the kinetic chain, working both on balance for the lower body, the entire spine, while also connecting it with some powerful slams with the medicine ball. We don't need a really heavy medicine ball here. We do want to work on stillness in the spine. If we are losing the balance, find the balance back again and then continue your repetitions. Let's face it, to swim fast, we have to generate power, and in majority of the movements in rotational patterns. Here we are standing and throwing the medicine ball to the side, linking the power from the hips out to our arms while staying stiff from our spine and our core in the rotations and even when we're catching the balls. Another variation of this is to do this on our knees. This isolates the rotation a little bit more, making it a little harder to generate power, so we have to stay a little bit more stiff in the glutes and the hips when we are generating the rotational power here. A slight variation, still a great exercise to generate power. This movement includes both a slam and a rotation, and from this split stance position, we're rotating from our hip over our head down next to our other hip. And we know this is a good powerful slam if the body stays stationary and if the ball bounces straight back up right next to you. This is a phenomenal movement, very swimming specific, where we are adding both the rotation and a powerful slam. Now here we are getting swimming specific for our advanced swimmers, not just a bent over row or a pendulé row. Now we're taking the split stance position similar to how we are positioned on the block. We don't want our legs to move, they need to stay stable. We don't want our spine to move, it needs to stay stable. And then we're simply pulling the block or rowing the bar up onto our chest quickly without making any compensation in our spine or our hips, because if we add too much weight here, it gets really ugly. We need just quickness and positional stability. Here we are reinforcing hip extension off of the back leg on the block. Many swimmers have an issue engaging their glutes and hamstrings to kick the back leg up to generate as much speed as they potentially can in a start. So here on land, we're getting swimming specific with just a one leg reverse hyper. Adding another rotational power movement here with the landmine exercise. We are setting our body up to the side, and then as we are rotating from the outside of our hips, bam, we are slamming the landmine up and controlling it back to the same spot here. Full body power, obviously a little bit so more focused on the upper body. Look at this, guys. I don't know if we can be more traditional in our movements but still get so swimming specific. We are lunging forward and back while adding a traditional T-spine rotation in both ways. Going forward, put the knee down, rotate up to the sky. Going back, reach towards the back heel, and this is a phenomenal movement to do 10 repetitions on each side before you're jumping in and swimming or even getting into your workout in the weight room. I am adding this movement here as a swimming specific movement because not many swimmers do this. It's a great rehab and prehab kind of exercise to add more strength and stability to our overall spine and posterior chain, but it also builds a lot more awareness for the swimmers to actually feel how it feels like to extend each little vertebrae at a time. Because when we go into the walls, we do quite opposite of this. We are quickly tucking in and flexing the spine and using our abs more, but then we also have to extend the spine both off of the blocks and getting into the streamline. So highly recommended that we add this movement in for swimmers. And this last movement, I don't even have to say anything. You know how important it is for swimmers to be able to enjoy both doing the pull-ups and actually get better at doing the pull-ups. This is as swimming specific as you can get. This is where we have the most research evolving of how swimmers can actually swim faster by developing the speed in their pull-ups and also the amount of pull-ups that they're doing and also how much weight they can do pull-ups with. So with further ado, the pull-up, one of the most swimming specific exercises. We don't have to get that complicated. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you want your own Finis slider band, link is in the description. Get 20% discount off your bands and even anything you want on the Finis website. Use promo code SS20 to receive your 20% discount on whatever you would like on their website. I'm serious, SS20 for 20% off on any Finis equipment. Listen, if you are looking for a reliable coach with a good source that can take your swimming to the next level, we have an amazing exercise data library, our training vault, to help you progress to the next level. Check it out, also link in the description. And if you got at least one movement that you haven't seen in this video, please be sure to give us a little thumbs up. And if you want to swim faster, get stronger, and stay healthier, it's time for you to subscribe to our channel. Just saying.